Alright guys, this is the review sheet, questions 11 through 15, leading into the number sense unit test. So here we are on number 11. Translate the sentence into an expression, then solve. The difference. Difference always means subtraction. I might as well put the subtraction sign down right there. The difference of the opposite of 15. The opposite of 15 is always it's gonna just be its negative counterpart. So the difference of negative 15 and the opposite of 17. Well, if the opposite of 15 is negative 15, then the opposite of 17 is going to have to be negative 17. So we're finding, and let me switch colors here, oops. We're finding the difference, that's why we have this subtraction sign right here. The difference of the opposite of 15 and the opposite of 17. What happens when we have a negative, when we're subtracting a negative? Okay, you guys know two negatives make a positive, so we're left with negative 15 plus 17. Final answer is going to be a positive 2. We know that we have more positives than we do negatives, so our answer better be positive. Okay? That's just it's a red flag if you see that you got a negative answer when you know you've got more positives. Let's continue on to number 12. Well, since we're just adding in between here, we're just adding integers here. So we got a negative 5 and a negative 23. You know that those are going to make a negative 28. Okay. And maybe I should go like this. That's those two. And we'll go in blue. Positive 15 plus a positive 22 is going to be, we still need that plus sign there, is going to be a positive 37, because that's just regular addition. So here's what we have left. We've got negative 28 plus 37. Once again, we have more positives, so our answer better end up positive. Okay? And if you find out, if you realize that your answer is going to be positive because you have more positives, the trick here is you can write this like, you can turn it around. A positive 37 plus a negative 28, or you can simply do, oh, that's a grade 8, or you can simply do 37 minus 28, and you'll end up with a positive 9. So there's your answer to number 12. Number 13, here we go. We're adding rational numbers, we're adding fractions, and guess what? We've got different denominators, so that obviously means we're going to have to change these guys a little bit. We know that we have a negative plus a negative, so our answer is definitely going to be negative, because if you start negative and you go further to the left on the number line by adding more negatives, you've got to end up negative. So here we go. Our common denominator is probably going to be 20, so if we multiply this guy by 4, we also have to multiply the numerator by 4, and to get 4 to 20, we're going to multiply it by 5, but at the same time you have to multiply the top, the numerator, by 5. So let's write out our new fraction just below it here. Waiting for my pen to catch up. Let's see if it ever does. I'm afraid it's going to catch up, and it's okay. It's not working. So here we go. Negative 12 times 4 is 48. That's an 8, and that's of course 20 plus our negative 5 times 5 is 25, and 4 times 5 is 20. So there's that guy. And let's finish this off here. So negative 48 plus more negatives plus a negative 25 is going to be, let's see here, 40 plus 20 is 60, plus 8 is 68, plus 5 is 73. You're going to end up with a negative 73 over 20. I am perfectly fine with that answer, as well as negative 3 and 13 73rds. Since we cannot reduce right here or right here, we are finished. Either one of these answers would do. Alright, let's move on to number 14. Here we go. we need a common denominator between 5 and 3. So before we do that, let's turn this one right here into an improper fraction. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11, so that's actually going to be 11 over 3. And now, common denominator between 5 and 3 is going to be 15. So I'm going to multiply this guy by 3, which means I have to multiply the numerator by 3. And I want to multiply 3 to get it to 15. I'm going to have to multiply it by 5, which means I have to multiply the numerator by 5. So let's write out our new problem here so we don't get too lost. 14 times 3 is going to be 14, 28, 42. And 5 times 3, of course, is going to be 15. And we're going to add that to 5 times 11 is 55. And 3 times 5 is, of course, 15. So now we have common denominators. Now we may add 42 and 55. 40 plus 50 is 90. Plus 2 is 92. Plus 5 is 97 over 15. And if you must write it as a mixed number, I believe it's going to be 6 and 7/15. Once again, we cannot reduce either of these, so either one of those as your final answer would be perfect. And here we are finally on to our last one. Once again, we're going to have to change these guys. We're going to have to give them a common denominator, and here we're going to get a little bit bigger with these numbers, guys. So let's change these first into improper fractions. 8 times 7 is 56. Plus 4 is, so we have a negative 60 divided by 7 minus 3 times 5 is 15 plus 2, 17 over 5. Alright, we're getting big. So we need a common denominator. It looks like it's going to be 35. So here I'm going to change colors for you. To get 7 to 35, you must, of course, multiply it by 5. And if you multiply that by 5, the top has to be multiplied by 5. And over here, if you want to get 5 to 35, you better multiply it by 7. And same thing is true, of course, with the numerator. Multiply it by 7. So here we go. We've got a negative, of course. 60 times 5 is going to be 300. So there's that guy. Divided by, and we know that's going to be 35. Minus 17 times 7. Oh, this is a bigger one. 17 times 10 is, 7 times 10 is 70. Plus 49. It looks like 119. Of course, if you couldn't do that in your head, you could definitely draw it out and multiply 17 times 7. But I'm going to ask you to trust me on that one here. Alright, and 5 times 7 is, of course, 35. Alright, if you notice, we have a negative minus something. So you can either subtract, or for those of you who really like to do bam bam, you can add the opposite. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. So we've got a negative 300 and a negative 119. So essentially we're just going to say our answer is going to be negative, and we're going to say 300 plus 119 gives us 419 right there, divided by, of course, 35. I don't believe that this can be reduced, so I'm going to leave it here. For those of you who are figuring out a mixed number, I'll let you do that on your own. That'd be just fine. But this is probably where I'd leave it, since I know that this cannot be reduced. Alright folks, there are still other videos out there. If you're looking for help, find another video.